So step 4 is where we're genuinely trying to see if we're a fit. Now, the push-pull concept. So, and the space. What we actually do every now and again is we don't know how much we want something until it's taken away. So, you know, when you really want to buy that shirt, you're not sure if we're going to buy it. And then say you're in Myer and they're like, oh, actually, I don't know if we have any of these. And you get that pang. I think pang is the right word. And you're like, oh, I actually really wanted it. But a second ago, you didn't realize how much you wanted it because you thought you could just have it. So when I say something like, okay, do you mind if you got time for this? Do you mind if we have a little bit of a chat to see if we actually are a fit? Because we may not be a fit. We may not work together. And Josh, you mentioned this at the start of the call. We'll throw it around as to when you would bring this in. But I would bring it in a bit later here. But it depends on your process and your business. So one, I'm pulling back a bit, which will more than likely, you will step forward, you will close the space. I'm also making you realize I don't work with anyone, which means that you need to reach a certain level or be a certain type of person for me to work with, which is now we're starting to head into pricing. Because what is the natural assumption in a lot of sales interactions is that you guys are the customer and I just want you and anyone else you know, and the more people, and I don't really care who they are, just whoever's going to pay me money. Right? And you're sitting back going, well, plenty of reps out there, like, dance for me, prove to me, what are you going to do to earn my money? When I start going, all right, well, I'm not going to do anything. Like if you want help with this, we can talk about this, but maybe we're not a fit. And if they're a dick, come up with something and get out of there. Like, don't work with dicks. That's a different profession. None of us are in. Sorry. And I'm recording and everything. I don't know why I do that. So this is where you also, okay, quick question. What's the best way to handle an objection? I'm not going on until someone answers.
Looping?
Yes, Mr. Jordan Belfort. So you would say answer it, then loop back and trial close again? Is that what you mean?
Pretty much. You just continue on the straight line persuasion. Yep.
Yeah. Keep them on a line. Don't let them off. Don't let them feel too much and get them in the door. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the audience. Like if you're in front of 50 people and someone asks you a question, you say, oh, look, I'll take that offline and talk to you about that in a moment, just on the interest of time or something like that. So you don't sort of close them down, but you move it to a time where I'll ask one of my peers about that, or it depends on the question, really, depending on the objection.
Yeah, I would totally agree in that situation, like one to many, not one to one.
I show empathy.
Show empathy.
Yeah, to say, oh, I understand how you feel. Tell me more. Help me understand why you feel that way. And then I try to always pinpoint a past experience they've had, because generally in my space, an objection is when a product fails or they've had a previous poor experience with a situation, and so it's always just trying to, I suppose, rewrite a past experience.
Yeah, which you can't make someone step through.
No.
You need to empathize first.
Yeah. But then when the empathy comes in, I say, after they've explained that or help them explain it, then I'll say, well, can we look at, because essentially in my world they're widgets, and so can I show you another widget to help you move past it? And so
people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So even though you may have have power to solve that objection, I don't care until you let me get it out.
Mm-hmm.
You empathize, and then we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So this was so relieving for me, because I spent many years trying to squash, handle, redirect, knock out objections, when really what you need to do is to step beside someone, look at the problem, which is basically metaphorically what Steve is saying, is empathize with them. What I would suggest is you then blow the objection up. as far as, yeah, that's a real problem. You make it bigger. You make it bigger, and then depending on the objection, you get them to solve it. So how are you going to do this? Or
Yeah.
that's a real problem. That's a genuine problem. I don't think we can move on until we address that. So let's have a chat about it. How do you think we can get through that?
Yeah.
You know, I've got some thoughts, but I really want to hear yours. So some objections I can help with, and some I can't. If you come to me and you're like, I don't think I have the time. Well, that's a real problem.
Like, and I have an example of that. So I had a coffee shop, or actually it was a coffee roastery that I sell my coffee sweets to. And in my world, a coffee sweet is cups and saucers and things. And so the particular coffee shop was complaining of cups failing, but they weren't failing. They were chipping around the mouth. And generally that means that the cups are being bumped against the portafilter. And so it's a systems thing and not necessarily a product. And so generally when you pinpoint those problems, it's an opportunity to get to know someone and reinforce relationships. And so I always treat objections as an opportunity to get in front of someone I wouldn't normally talk to, because it's the end users I hardly ever get to mix with. And so that's how I build relationships generally, is those objections and those opportunities to talk about systems behind someone's business. Because you just say, yeah, look, this is a real problem because you're spending money on product. However, I can help you develop ways to teach, your staff not to bump the coffee cup against the group, because it's not the way you treat a coffee cup.
Yeah, totally. So it's becoming a resource for you instead of something you've got to hurdle or get around.
And so that's come back to me already, because they understand what my business is, and they've asked my assistants to consult on some other products for their shop. And so it works.
Become the trusted advisor, or more so the trusted advisor. So align with them, empathize, blow the objection up, and then either get them to solve it. Like I was saying with me, if you don't have time, so okay, well that's a real problem. If you don't have time for me, I can't train you. How do you want to solve that? And if you can't solve that, well then maybe we can't move ahead, right? You need to solve that one. Some things I can help you with. So this is your chance to bring up those objections. This is your chance to bring up your expectations. Like you need to have enough time. Like the cost is in ballpark figure around 5K. Are you good with that? I need you to reply to my emails within 24 hours. We need to keep the momentum going. How are you with feedback? Like, because as a business owner or a sales manager or a salesperson, like generally, if you don't already know this, then let me help you. You're generally the bottleneck, and it may be your mindset, and it may be something that you're not aware of. And if I'm bringing up stuff you're already aware of, I'm not really doing my job. So how are you at taking feedback, and how are you at me telling you you're the problem? So that's one thing. So you call that it's not a social chat. You're going to pay me good money to help you in your business. We're going to talk business, and I'm going to get to the point. Now, I'm going to do that respectfully, but I may butt in because I don't have time. I want to make sure you get the most value out of this. So these are the type of expectations that you bring up in step 4. You also explain to them that they've said, okay, this is where you might bring in that presentation where, okay, I want you to be aware that you said you need A, B, and C. Well, how we deal with A, B, and C is we put D, E, and F together. Is that going to work for you? A little yes. We're getting more and more yeses. So this is how you spend more time with good people. This is how you're not pushy, because there's a feeling that I'm interviewing now. That's why if you're just going to sell a pair of sunglasses, this is not really the sales conversation for you. But if you want to work with someone on an ongoing basis, and you need to be selective, because the more you work with crappy clients, the less you work with good clients, then this is what makes the difference. So, and let me reiterate, when you start interviewing me, i.e. we're starting to shift where you're the prize, without me really being totally aware of it, catches me off guard. Then we're like, well, hang on. I can't just decide to work with them. They may not want to work with me. Then I start going, well, actually, no. Like, I'll find the time. Well, maybe 5K that was more than I thought. But now, like, it's not up to me. Like, I have to work with this person. So maybe I'll pay more. Like, one of my other clients sold a renovation for 3 times the original asking price. They thought it was going to be asking price. They thought it was going to be 20K. She went in there, did a worked through the process thoroughly, and got the renovation for 58K. Now, when she came into it, when she started working with me, she desperately wanted to stop the tire kickers, spend time on people that worked and that were worthwhile, and also for people to realize that it generally costs more than what they think it is, and then she wanted them to go through with it. Client thought it was 20K. She stepped it up and said it's actually 58K. And when the client signed on the dotted line, she goes, you were the most expensive. 20K was unrealistic. It was someone at 47 and 51. But she goes, I want to go with you because I know my 58K will be worth it. So the other people weren't even worth the 47. But that's the emotional journey. That's not logic.